This year, with Hollywood having discharged a cesspool of excremental content onto streaming platforms, its septic tanks overflowing into the swirling, lively ecosystem of YouTube entertainment commentary, discoloring and polluting the cultural tides in which our channels drift, and where we subsist on the darting shoals of our subscribers. We contended stoically with Marvel Phase 4 and its emasculating identity politics, its exhausting spectacle, its gaudy candy colors and CGI failing to obscure the lack of any central driving narrative. We braced ourselves and waded through the splattery effluent of diarrhea that was The Lord of the Rings of Power, and in mass solidarity and contempt we uploaded hundreds of hours of scathing critiques, incredulous that such esteemed source material could be treated as cavalierly as one-ply toilet paper after a dodgy kebab ordered from an all-night takeaways, where the guy at the counter preparing the kebab was on meth to stay awake and his fingers a breeding ground for E. coli. That a strong female character could be so gratingly obtuse, priggish, lacking in any charm, charisma, or appealing qualities, and that the dialogue about ships and stones would be so gallingly pseudo-profound it would bamboozle and irritate everyone to the brink of an aneurysm. We then had to endure the fetid, fly-blown surface slick of excremental bilge and ensnaring tangled masses of plastic rubbish and rusted metal detritus cast overboard that was She-Hulk Eterniate Law. A show that ought by rights to have been banned under the Geneva Convention, and its show writers hauled in disgrace before The Hague to account for their heinous and torturous spectacle of a poorly CGI-rendered, narcissistic, self-absorbed, histrionic, and never-witty character, entering into a poorly executed string of banal, time-filling shenanigans and attempting to redeem or elevate itself with a flourish of meta-ideas that didn't work because if you're going to be ironic, you have to have a firm, savvy control of the irony. Whereas this show's attempt at meta only ended up with it disappearing so far up its own arse, it was able to perform a colonoscopy, slither up the digestive tract, and emerge in its own stomach, which hopefully turned and convulsed as viscerally and nauseatingly as the stomachs of most of the viewers. Finally, though, after this unprecedented year of the Starbucks bathroom bowl-stainingly congealed shit of Kenobi, the stubbornly constipated, painful-to-expel thick shit of the Book of Boba Fett, and the diarrhea gravy-slathered shit sandwich of Picard, we finally made it through to the end of the year, and could find some well-earned respite, a chance to exhale, to regather our strength, our wits and our senses, and cast a plaintive eye over the horizon into 2023, when the bitter waters of streaming content might be once again made sweet, when the folly of identity politics, haphazard and underwhelming writing might be corrected by wiser heads, when the studio system, surveying the cultural and financial carnage sustained from a year of pandering and imbecilic practices, might have a reckoning and train their impressive resources and energies on content that can enthrall and captivate everyone. My friends, we made it through the malaise of 2022. Nothing remains but to pour a deserved wee dram of sherry and offer a wistful Christmas toast in celebration of our resilience, our composure, and just when we thought we'd made it through 2022, Hollywood sucker punches us with Willow. Open up a Dutch oven of modern Hollywood scriptwriting and pour and dump in the same ingredients in preparation of the same nutritionless visual slop that we have had served up to us over and over. Take an 80s property with nostalgia value, hire screenwriters who had no part in making the original beloved or tending to its legacy, and give them free rein to fling in their rank-smelling effluvia of personal fantasy, self-insertion, and various audacious modern twists for the modern age. Toss in an insufferable young heroine, who the screenwriters envisage as plucky, but who is in fact sanctimonious, churlish, and whose witty repartee is snide and grating. Give her a lesbian best friend, push the boundaries by including a requisite lesbian kiss, make the lesbian one the only functionally mature relationship, make the heroine redoubtably independent and have her rebel against an established, largely patriarchal system of fixed marriage, and again confuse obnoxiousness with empowerment. Have her clad like warrior Galadriel for most of the time, include a powerful and well-developed matriarch, a buffoonish brother, dialogue that sounds extraordinarily evocative of a bunch of young white women who have grown up in a Californian social milieu, and which sounds ridiculous and painful on the air in a medieval setting, like insufferable tweens on the Nickelodeon channel, with phrases such as, "What now?" and "I think we're good." And sprinkle in this year's most overused trope, the haranguing, contrived, artificial-sounding monologue or public speech. I'd better describe the plot, just for the sake of getting it done with. Let me just pause here for 1 second, just to take the edge off. In the years following the defeat of Queen Bavmorda, her daughter Sorsha has become the new queen, has married Madmartigan, and produced 2 twins, Prince Eric and Princess Kit. Sorsha intends to seal a marriage alliance between Kit and a random undeveloped male character. She is also affected by the mysterious disappearance of Madmartigan and visions of a new threat known as the Gales. Several Gales attack Turasleen, and Urk is kidnapped. Hold on there another second. My heart seems to have stopped from sheer inertia, so just let me defibrillate myself, get the old heart going again.
Attach pads to bare skin exactly as shown.
Kit and a bunch of other annoying assholes embark on a quest to rescue Erk. After crossing the barrier, the group are pursued by several Bone Reavers. The survivors escape with the help of Borman's magic. Later they find the Nilwen sorcerer Willow, who reveals that Dove, Erk's girlfriend, is actually Alora Dynien, and that Erk is being imprisoned by the withered crone who dwells in some bullshit place called the Immemorial City beyond the Shattered Sea. Several things strike you watching the first episode. The first is the uncanny and depressing feeling that this would have been considered shit even by 1980s audiences. Kids in pubescence watching this in a multiplex in 1988 would probably have started sneering and fidgeting and leant into their parents in the adjoining seat and whispered with warm popcorn breath, "Can we go home and rent out RoboCop on video?" The second thing that sticks out is the cheap-looking, frenetic, headache-inducing, and terribly gloomy fight scenes and awful vocal and visual effects. The most overriding thing you consider whilst watching the first episode of Willow, however, is where the fuck is Warwick Davis? A question not answered for a full soul-sapping 47 minutes, only for you to then be reminded of the unhappy truth that Warwick Davis is a great guy, but a fairly mediocre actor. And that's about it for Willow. A conscientious, patient reviewer would watch the ensuing episodes to give a more nuanced, comprehensive picture of the show. As it happens, I'm none of those things. Anyway, I watched the whole of the Rings of Power. I don't owe you any favors. Jesus.